Following the slight detour heading to the Circuit de Leopard, the LCR World Championship continues to parry on towards Interlagos and the final round at Brazil. Welcome along for the ride for round 15 here at the COTA circuit in the US of A. For Austin, Texas is ready to go for another instant classic. Let's have a look at just a few minutes ago. We had a gripping and epic qualifying session, and here is your grid for it. So it's Cyril Tibble who gets his second LCR career pole with a right at the death 1 minute 30.4, with Birol Sira, the newly crowned world champion, alongside him in P2. DTO Felipe makes it 2-3 for the Renaults, with another strong qualifying to start from third, with Suzuki Kushito making it a French 1-4, and those two really working together in the qualifying session. Row 3 is an all Mercedes row, with Dralex out qualifying his Scottish counterpart of Amazed in the end. Them two, of course, in a very fierce battle with Tibble for second in the championship. Row 4 consists of the Frenchman of LK with strong qualifying for McLaren, and Boris Lebox making it 1-8 for the two Alfa Romeos. And row 5, at the back of the top 10, we have the Racing Point of John Papp and the Williams of WR Clone Troop, making it a very much what could have been row 5 for the pair of them. Row 6, outside of the top 10 with fresh choice of tyres, begins with the Red Bull of Sims and the hometown hero, the only hometown hero on the grid, of Joseph Revenge, aka Brad. Row 7 is the second Ferrari behind Brad of LCR Apex in 13th, with the hometown team of VSR GC starting from 14th for the lone Haas on the grid. Of course, they took the victory last season with Jam Pancakes, making it their only LCR victory at their home. And finally, row 8 at the back of the grid, we have the Williams of KJ Gamer and Jolly, who both were unable to set lap times in qualifying. But the drivers are thick and fast. My name, of course, is the voice of LCR, Elsa Knight, alongside me, the 5-time world champion of Leopard. Leopard, pleasure to have you here alongside me as usual. And that qualifying session was quite something to behold.
Yeah, very, very entertaining qualifying session. Obviously, we're going to be looking for the race to provide the action, but as far as the qualifying session goes, that was a very entertaining one, to say the least. We thought Sira had done it yet again. You know, he hadn't had a lap time on the board, got one right in the end to snatch pole positions. Also, we thought Cyril Tibble came out of nowhere to claim his second ever pole position, and his first one this season, I believe.
Second.
Got
it at the Italian Grand Prix. That was actually, he's had two pole positions this season since
there you go,
then. But the drivers are now coming up towards the start line to get ready for 28 laps worth of flat-out racing here for the 15th round of our 18-round season. In case anyone's interested as well, of course, the LCR Europe tier is at Austria for their penultimate round. Of course, last round they crowned a champion, just like we did in LCR Astro, crowning the newly founded Europe champion in the hopes that the season will continue heading into New Year's. Talking about previous winners, Traptor won a hometown victory in Season 1. Leopard, of course, won it in Season 3. John Papp in Season 4. He starts from 9th. And Jam Pancakes, as I mentioned, for Haas last season in Season 7. It's missed 3 out of the 7 seasons. But up towards the line, Jolly's the final man of 16 as LCR gets ready to create its legacy here in the US of A. And we get ready for the 5 red lights. We've now come on. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. LCR Season 8 is off in USA. It's a good start there from Cyril. Also got Tibble on the front row. Connor towards turn 1. He's immediately gone past Felipe Mavaraj. Have gone Tibble as well. Connor towards turn 1. Crucito on the inside of him as well. You can see the Mason Trump. It's gone side by side as well. The two percent bit of contact between the two as well. I think May's going to get past his teammate. John Papp as well. Swallowing away with that's okay. Boris falls down the line. VLC GC up to 10 for the 1 million tires. Connor towards the S for the first time. Just about they managed to make it through, but Ciro leads. And the other is Clone Troop off in the Williams as well. Disaster for them as KJ's up to 11th as well. VSC immediately deployed to begin a calmness of the proceedings. But it's Ciro leads, Tibble second, and Felipe in third, with Crucito holding on to 4th. It was fairly steady at the front with an awful start for Tibble, but further down an absolute mess, Leopard.
Well, maybe not an absolute mess, but a mess for Clone Troop indeed. He's lost his entirety of his front wing, and for the second race in a row, I do believe, within the space of a sector, we end up with a virtual safety car. I think it happened in Japan as well, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, virtual safety car, which will be ending very shortly indeed. But yeah, Tibble, I was going to say, you know, he did 2 laps on those soft tyres in qualifying, whereas everyone else would have done 1, and so he's going to be really struggling on those soft tyres, or maybe not really struggling, but at a disadvantage on those soft tyres throughout the stint before he can chuck on what I'd only assume would be the medium tyre to go to the end of the Grand Prix.
It's not not the ideal start. He's now stuck in a very nice looking Renault sandwich mill. KJ flying up the field. He just got past GC at the VSC restart. Now got past John as well. Of course, he opted to start from the soft tyres outside the top 10. Didn't really get a chance to talk about that on the formation lap. There was 3 cars that decided to do the medium tyres first. GC, Sims and Jolly. And then soft tyres were on for Brad, Apex, KJ, and I believe as well who else was outside the top 10. It was that long ago, but coming towards turn 1, they come for the first time. Syrah still very much got Tibble for company, who are beginning to drop off ever so slightly, and also Alex sitting comfortable behind Crescito. The two were saying a bit of a squabble there into the first corner, and I think there was also a bit of a sort of contact between them. So signs to show that maybe in the last few rounds they're both thinking about having that second place in the championship.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. Obviously, Tile's gone, so really playing for pride at this moment and trying to get the best position they possibly can. And Drelex won that duel versus Amaze down to turn 1, and I'd say looking fairly comfortable behind the Toro Rosso of Crescito, and Crescito's actually closed up to the back of Felipe. I mean, from obviously in Japan, there was no such thing as the DRS train because it was, well, monsoon conditions, and Syrah checked out. But it looks like it's a lot closer in the dry here in USA. And we could see a DRS train forming, I would imagine, potentially all the way down to Amazed, is my guess, if we do see one.
Yeah, and by the way, talking about big winners and losers, as you can see, there's only one position change in the entire top 7, and that was for the lead after Syrah got the jump on Tibor down towards turn 1. But in terms of further down, look at the start KJ's had. From pretty much at the back of the field, he started from P15 after only just about to be 2 laps. He's up to P8, and next up in his sights is LK, and then he's looking at the train that you mentioned. So I would say, in terms of potential driver of the day starts, you've got to say a big candidate has to go to KJ from the start. He's given almost half the field in 2 laps.
Yeah, great start from KJ from obviously the second to last position on the grid, already up in 8th position, hunting down LK. So KJ on absolute charge. Yesterday in F2 I saw Amaze go from what was 7th, I think it was, in the reverse grid sprint race, as LK goes a bit wide. KJ is going to say thank you very much for that, as he is going to sweep right around the outside of LK through the S's, and that's job done. Yeah, another position for KJ. He moves up into 7th, and he is going to try and get amongst this DRS train, although Drelex has moved outside a second of Crescito, but he's going to, KJ at least will be looking at the 2 Mercedes.
I think Boris just had a massive moment there, right in the background of that. I think it was coming out of turn 10. The foot hit the wall. Meanwhile, John, I think, also made a mistake because GC's got past him and now got Jolly for company as well. Coming down towards turn at number 12. Got the DRS open, has the pair of them, but Jolly seems to be a lot more better on the straight line speed. Probably ERS as well, doing a big factor of this one. Thank goodness that's being turned down next year. Down the inside goes the Toro Rosso, very close to get the moves signed, sealed and delivered. Now through towards turn 40. Careful, lads. That was
Stuck
close.
his nose in.
And in the end,
stuck his nose in.
Jolly gets past John. I don't know if there's contact between John and Boris inadvertently, but I definitely saw Boris lose the back end, and clear sign that he's now getting himself back going again as Crescito gets an early penalty.
Not what you want to be doing. Tibor keeps the DRS on Syrah. Felipe's also
back in that last corner.
Felipe scraped the DRS, as is Crescito, as is Drelex. Don't think Drelex lost out to Crescito, but top 4 are DRS on one another, and obviously Amaze, KJ. Well, it is just one huge train at the moment. I mean, who's one outside DRS? Probably Jolly. But as of now, the only one apart from Clone Troop and Jolly, those that are outside of second, is also Felipe. Everyone else inside of second.
This could be such a DRS train circuit, and we seem to be seeing that so far.
Close.
Meanwhile, up towards the front, so is Tibor. He's getting very close to the back of Syrah there.
I meant Tibor.
I thought you did, to be honest with you, because I was thinking he hasn't really. He's got close to DRS. I'll give you that one, but.
I wanted to say Tibor, but for some reason I said Felipe. I do not know why. There we go.
There you have it. Conspiracy Theories 101 as Boris gets past LK, and at the moment Amaze just about ahead of KJ, who's still flying. Of course, KJ has got fresh set of soft compared to
inside.
Will be qualified down the inside.
Oh no!
He's hit Tralex.
He's got it
a
wrong.
miscalculation. And dread I say it, but that gives me flashbacks as LK and Boris still side by side through towards the tripled apex section at 16, 17 and 18. Now through towards 19. Eventually Boris now gets past. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but that... Oh, and Katie's now lost it at the penultimate corner. And past goes Jolly and GC just back. He now retires. And the man's bad luck continues. But unfortunately, that has somewhat to do with all of his own doing. And GC is also into the pits.
Didn't see the spin, but Dralex into the pits as well. We'll see if that's for a wing change or just his tires are overcooked. But yeah, KJ went for a lunge on Amaze and just overcooked it a little bit too much and collected the other Mercedes of VSR Dralex. That is not going to be a happy Canadian in that Mercedes, nor KJ be happy with that as well. And yeah, that's a big shame for the pair of them. But back on board with the front two. Tibor is, well, not as close as last time, but I've actually said his name instead of Felipe this time, and he's within DRS. This time he is into overtake mode, so it looks like he's going to try and size up the Brazilian of Syrah and maybe have a go down into turn 12. Will he have a go? Yes, he's up the inside, braking just after the 50 metre board, and Tibor moves into the lead of the race for the first time since the very start of the race, off the line, because Syrah obviously took him off the line on lap 1, and Tibor gets that place back 5 laps later.
Yep, so it took 5 laps for Tibor to find a way back past Syrah, and now Syrah's got a bit of sort of patient game about him in the next few laps. And so far in the third sector, it appeared that Tibor is just pushing out a little bit more to just get that gap away. Boris and Elko still continuing their battle, by the way. That actually has broken up the gap between Amazed and Boris. Now, of course, it was a big train beginning to form, and I think sometimes, as you'll know, in races, sometimes when there's DRS changes, there's a yellow flag. I think Boris has binned it on the way to the pits.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Come on, Boris. Now's not the time. Oh dear. It's a shame. Shame for the Alfa Romeo. He was having such a good race as well.
Oh well. A good building block, really, weren't he, for the rest of the race? He's now gone to a second medium. Don't know if he's had a front wing change as well. Yep. Yes, he has. The Alfa Romeo team putting a new front wing on because, of course, he did clip it on his way into the pits as Tibor was deep at turn number 9. Now coming towards turn 11, he might have a lunge here to Syrah. He'll have the DRS down the straight, so a good exit here. This could be the opportunity that the Brazilian needs. Short shifts up to third, trying to get the best traction he can on exit. Now coming down towards turn 11, there should be a relatively easy move for the Brazilian on the Frenchman, heading flying now at about 200 miles an hour, and it took 5 laps for Tibor to get past Syrah. It took Syrah only 1 lap to get back past.
Yep, indeed. Probably, well, DRS obviously, well, maybe not in this occasion, because Syrah was right on the back of Tibor going onto that main straight, but for us as neutrals, that it's a very good sign that they can overtake each other. You know, no one's necessarily clearing off into the distance, so we should be able to get a nice little battle for the mid.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It's been a while since we've had something like that, to be perfectly honest with you. Especially when you consider Syrah's form as a late, and then he dives it into the pits on lap 6. So the softs have been starting to slow down. I've seen that by pace. Buscito follows him in as well. Felipe, of course, has to stay out because of his teammate. Amazed in. LK is going to stay out, so he will assume 3rd place in the race. Let's see, however, what happens with regards to Syrah now on medium tyres. The slowest, the quickest getaway. Buscito, of course, going to have to wait for Syrah to go past. Apex stays out, as does Brad. They're both in the points now. I'm sure Brad likes to score points at his home race. As Syrah now comes out on his set of medium tyres with a bit of clean air and undercut. I mean,
it's powerful.
More expert than I am.
I reckon he'll get it, and he could be actually out of DRS depending on how this lap goes for the world champion. As has John Pab at the moment. Yes, he has. He's round in the S's. So is he going to rejoin in front of Syrah? No. Syrah avoids that racing point. But yeah, Syrah could get a very heavy undercut. Yeah, because the undercut is powerful around here, especially because just the softs die, and when you get fresh tyres, especially fresh medium tyres, they move so much quicker at this moment in time. But I would say, but also barring undercut, when you put in, I guess, undercut and medium tyre like pace, if you combine the two, I would say actually lap 7 is probably the ideal time from my experience. And obviously, quite frankly, Tibor has got really no other option but to respond to Syrah. And will we see him in this lap? I'm expecting we will, and indeed we do. In goes the Alfa Romeo, as does DTO Felipe, as would I imagine LK as well eventually. But yeah, we'll see how powerful the undercut's been for Piero Sierra.
We've just lost Jolly there, interestingly. He was running high in P4 on his set of movements. He's going to take the lead, technically, but out of his Sims that takes the lead of the Grand Prix. It's out of the pits comes Felipe, out of the pits comes Tibor. Now let's have a look, see where Sierra is now coming down the straight. Got Apex just ahead of him, especially relatively easy move as he goes undercuts Tibor as well by some margin. And you mentioned DRS, it could very much be that, and it is 1.5 to 2 seconds. And this is probably where Sierra is best. In a sort of comfortable 2-second lead advantage, he will now begin to pull that out more and more in the next few laps.
What's even worse with Tibor, he's got Apex right ahead of him, although he might catch him at the perfect time for the DRS. He'll probably, I'd say, maybe have a lunge, maybe down to turn 11. Probably best to not lose that much time because the DRS activation zone is well before that. Indeed, up the inside goes Eero Tibor and into second place. He already was in second place. Into fourth place for the time being. Felipe will also breeze past the Ferrari of LCR Apex, and now Tibor gets a bit of that time back with the DRS. Well, still probably got DRS in the disconnected Jolly, so probably didn't happen that much. But yeah, he's got a bit of time, just Tibor, to find to get back within that DRS with Sierra to try and challenge for the race win.
Yeah, so Tibor now goes up to third place. Jolly, of course, who disconnected on his set of memes, still going flying around. Let's see if Felipe went up to fourth, and well, that means the only person that hasn't pit in the first few laps is technically Sims now in the Red Bull, who's leading by 4 seconds. Other than, of course, Apex, who is now actually into the pits as well. As Sierra goes fast, he's 34.7 and begins to hunt down the Red Bull ahead. And you have to feel that the second he gets past that Red Bull, he can start doing what he's really done over the past 15 rounds.
Yep, indeed. Will it happen again? Well, we'll find out in a good 18 or so laps time. Tibor, though, he did get pole position, did Tibor, so we'll see if he can reel that gap back in. I did mention it would be at a disadvantage compared to, although I think Sierra had the exact same wear potentially. I think didn't he have to do laps in qualifying?
Who's Sierra?
Yeah.
Pretty sure he did, yeah.
I think so. They're actually equal styles. What I'm saying about Tibor's disadvantage was completely wrong then, because they both were on the same laps of tyre, on those soft tyres. Yeah, we'll see what Tibor could do. He's got a lap fresher tyres, which might play a factor around here in the Circuit of the Americas, but yeah, we'll see what happens. 2.1 seconds, 1.1 seconds he needs to find to go in DRS, 2.1 seconds to get to the back of that Renault.
Yeah, so it sounds like Mission Impossible, but with still a very long way to go in the race. I wouldn't discount anything just yet. As Jolly's gone out. I don't know how he's done that though. Has he rejoined?
He rejoined, and that could be deliberate potentially.
Yeah, it definitely looks it. Down towards 12. He don't really make that much mistake. Sims thought about pitting, but ultimately is going to stay out.
Yeah,
it's probably best because he'll lose so much time.
If it was a full safety car, then maybe, but yeah, not a virtual one. Plus, realistically, the tyres probably aiming to get onto would be the softs.
That was a really short VSC.
Yeah, it was. That did not last long. That lasted what, a couple of corners?
So back straight away to green flag racing here, and Sierra's now within a second of Sims, and you mentioned this before, perfect place for Tibor. This is probably the perfect place for Sierra because he's right behind him just before the DRS zone.
Yeah, he's going to lose a little bit more than Tibor. You see Tibor's getting a couple of tenths there, but Sierra past the activation zone and into, well, he already had the effective lead, and he's now into the actual race lead, goes to Brazilian, and yeah, job done. For the Renault, he'll get DRS, Sims point, because the activation zone is well before the corner. And yeah, he'll gain, probably the time he lost, he'll gain it right back with the DRS.
Yeah, so almost like the world is coming round. Meanwhile, Felipe and Crescito technically battling for the final podium place. Crescito's still very close to the back of Felipe here, and it could be a really good battle to witness in the coming laps. As Amazed also just under 2 seconds back as well, so these two start battling, that could allow him in as well. So the lead is sort of stretched out a bit for Sierra, but the battle between his teammate and, well, not really his teammate, but a good friend in Crescito happening as well, as Dralex and Apex side by side. I don't obviously this battle, the Ferrari and Mercedes battle in real life, but here in LCR it's been a bit of a class difference, and in the end Dralex does get past on the comeback drive. So good to see that Apex is giving a fight to someone that even he probably knows is a step above him.
Yeah, obviously Dralex going back through the field, and when you have a collision like that, you're going to have to expect to come across those that you don't usually battle further down the field, and Dralex doing just that with LCR Apex, but he's to the Ferrari, left the other Ferrari of Drifter's Revenge. He's 3 seconds up the road, and then he'll probably be getting back into slightly more familiar territory for the Canadian.
So, onward with Crescito now, the man that's running in P5. I actually quickly go up towards Tibble because he's now closed up the Sims at just the right place down at the DRS zone, but it's not exactly close, but I'm sure Sims is not exactly thinking too hard about defending. His battle is further down, and yet to the left he goes past the Red Bull and into second place now, where rightfully should have been. In terms of that battle now, 1.8 is the gap between Syrah and Tibble, and you probably feel that Syrah will back off, and if the gap gets a bit closer to that second margin, it's almost a race of two cars that aren't actually there, because ultimately Syrah's job is just to keep that 1 second buffer, really. So it's almost as if he's battling a car that doesn't exist.
Yeah, well, it's a gap battle at the moment. You know, the gap's going to be 2 seconds, and it's going to be a battle for Tibble to get in the DRS instead to avoid Tibble getting into the DRS. Yeah, it is a very good gap battle to witness, and Tibble will have to probably, if they are very even on pace, which they seem to be very even on pace, Tibble's going to have to try and just find that little bit more push, a little bit harder. Syrah has the lead, and he's got the championship wrapped up, so he could just chill. Quite frankly, he can let whatever happen. Really, obviously, he wants to win. As a Brazilian, he wants to get as many wins as possible, and he's in the lead right now. But Tibble, if he wants to win this race, he's going to have to push it a bit harder. So he's not in as comfortable a position as Syrah. Syrah, as I say, can just chill. But Tibble will, if he wants to get this win, he's going to have to push it a little bit harder, try and go in that second. And once he's in that second, he can start chilling, and saving up that ERS again, and then probably staying behind Syrah until couple laps left of the race.
Yeah, 2 wins for ERL Tibble since first joining the league. The first one came at the Chinese Grand Prix, which is round 2 of that season, back in season 6, that one. Well, actually the first one was won by Boris Letterbox. Let's show how long ago that probably feels right about now. So, yeah, but now of course them 2 teammates, ironically, yeah, I actually didn't mean that to be a stat. You know, and you compare it to Syrah, 11 wins in his first season. Just won the debut race for himself at the Bahrain Grand Prix. 5 of them victories being pole to win. He can't do that this time. Meanwhile, GC gets past Boris Letterbox in the P8, and I have to say, on them hards, he's doing a good stint.
Yeah, he's doing a good job there. I mean, in my opinion, that's not the preferred tyre to be on the hard tyre. You really want to be on the mediums at this rate. Quite frankly, the hards are only going to come good with only a couple laps left, and quite frankly, until then, a good half second to a second lap off the pace compared to the mediums. But he's doing a good job lowering the points for the Haas. Obviously, home race for Haas, as we mentioned many times already in this stream. But we'll see if Boris can get past Haas here down to turn 1. Probably a little bit far back, but will he try lunch to turn 1? No, he doesn't. Too far back. I'll have to wait on the ramp to turn 12 down the main back straight.
Well, this is a good chance for a move here further up, because Felipe has now caught up to Sims, and as you can see as well, Crescito will get closer and closer because he's stuck behind him, but down towards 11. And if you think about the inside line at that section, Sims just brakes and lets him go. Sims driving very smart at the moment, and I'm sure Crescito might fancy having to go at him as well. Of course, slipstream being picked up here by Sims, and I don't know if Crescito's be able to get past here potentially. I don't think it's close enough. Down towards 12, and through the third sector, there could be a car between these two, and this could ultimately turn into another gap battle on our hands here.
Yeah.
And again, a moment out of 12, and that's not ideal.
Yeah, I was about to say, Crescito not being able to get past Sims is going to be really helpful for Felipe, because he has a car between himself and Crescito, as well as Crescito also has a penalty as well that he got within the first few laps. So Felipe on very good course to make a double Renault podium.
Moment there at the turn 18. He appears to be struggling in the dirty air of Sims. It's been a good race so far, and you do wonder, is he getting frustrated? Because Sims has DRS as well, and it's not been a good exit. So for another lap, for at least the first sector, Sims will continue to be ahead of ahead of Crescito, and that still allows Felipe to get away. You see the gap now to 1.1 technically between these two cars battling for third position in the race, coming through the S's, and that gap will only continue to increase. And is Crescito going to get frustrated and go for a move that, to be fair, later on he might regret?
Well, we'll see. I mean, quite frankly, he's not really overtaking and realistically just stay behind or go ahead. Now, that's not going to help him. He's not going to get the DRS there. I mean, he's got the move done, which is probably more important than getting DRS, but he's not going to get the DRS Felipe did, and that's going to hinder him even more. And even if Sims, if he wants to, might be able to even try to attack the Toro Rosso back, but I feel like he's too far back and probably won't even have anywhere near enough grip on those mediums to go for the braking performance needed to make that lunge, and he doesn't, so good on Sims. That would have been very audacious and probably not the best thing to do, but yeah, back onto the Crescito and Felipe battle, now over a second gap, just because Felipe got past Sims a lap earlier, and Crescito had to spend a lap behind the Red Bull, who was on much older tyres, and here's the result, 1.4 seconds between the Renault and the Toro Rosso.
Yeah, so now of course we have to wait to see if Crescito can claw back that. It's only 3 tenths, so not a big margin. Meanwhile, the gap between the two leaders, Sira now up to 2.2 seconds ahead of Tibor, so the gap has only come out by 2 tenths, but over the space of a few laps, go show how competitive these two are in terms of pace at this round. And you have to say, given the undercut that was in, you know, judging by the pace of the first few laps, I didn't know which way to turn my money for that one, because they were so matched on lap time, and they just sort of passed each other relatively. They both sort of knew that they were battling early on for a lead that was really going to continue, and ultimately it was just a decision made by Sira that ultimately backfired on Tibor.
Yep, indeed. Obviously, Sira bit the bullet and went for the pit lane, and yeah, Tibor won the extra lap and lost himself a good second, and also got stuck behind LCR Apex for a couple of corners as well, which hindered him even further. But obviously, since they cleared the traffic and got back into first and second respectively, gap was around 2 seconds, and since then, Sira's only gained a couple tenths in the space of, what, 8 laps or so? Or more, 6 probably. So yeah, Sira though has probably gained another 10 or 2 in the last couple laps, so maybe Sira's just slowly but surely starting to eat that gap out.
Incredible battle going on between GC and Boris down towards 13. Yeah. Boris got the slipstream and DRS on GC and eventually does get past, but now coming up towards the double kink left-hander. Boris, of course, will take the deep line. It's a Montblanc corner, and GC proving that with the much more inside line. Coming towards the triple Apex Turkey, 16 to 18. Now down towards turn 90, still at the inside line of GC. Very close, no! There's contact, and around goes the Haas. And that ultimately was another case of desperation, and nearly collected John Papp in the process.
Well, apparently, according to the game, he has collected him, but yeah, just unfortunate race against the VRCGC. Went for the gap, and it was there. You know, it was more than entitled to go for his Boris. Gets a huge tank slapper on the XF turn 1. Yeah, GC well within his right to go for it, but just a little bit too deep, and just like AJ, clipped the Boris's rear left tyre, and that sent the Haas spinning round at a penultimate corner. And thankfully, for Boris, unlike Drelex, he managed to keep the car facing the right direction and continue going.
Yeah, so one more now with Boris's teammate of Tibor. Is now 2.5 seconds behind Sira, but comfortably 5.7 ahead of the Renault driver of Felipe, as they still hold a 1-3 here today. It's been respected, by the way. Felipe only had 1 podium all season long. That came at the German Grand Prix. You wouldn't actually believe it. With Sin, and that, if he gets one more of them and Felipe manages to hold and be good for the rest of the race, it could be a Renault 1-2.
Yeah, would that be the first Renault 1-2 this season, or?
It would, because Felipe's only had 1 podium and it was 3rd.
third in Germany.
Which I can't believe, given
Yeah.
his form.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where, you know, you look at it and you expect him. You know, you look at the caliber of driver Felipe is, and you know, you expect him to get, yeah, okay, maybe 1 or 2 race wins. But when you look at the rest of the field, you got Tibor, you got Sira. I mean, Sira's won so many races this season, and it's just like, where does Felipe get? He deserves to win a race. He's got the pace, you know, he's got the ability to win a race, but he's up against Birol Sira, his teammate, who has won over half the races this season. And then when, obviously, probably pace-wise his best chance was Monza, and Drelix won that just purely because he got no penalties.
Yeah, that was a tough bullet to bite for him. But John Pat gets 3 second time running down in 10th position. Of course, as I mentioned at the start of the race, was a winner in this Grand Prix back in season 4. Of course, part of that record breaker season, we took the most amount of victories in a season, and didn't actually win the championship that year because he joined late, and the fight to you was not really enough to crown you what was at the time only a 2-time champion. That feels like an age ago.
Yeah.
Now, but
Feels off thinking like that.
now looking back to the here and now, he's down in 10th place. Got GC like 2.3 seconds behind. Interestingly, the 2 Ferraris actually just swapping positions there. Apex and Brad battling for 12th position. Of course, despite the fact that they are, you know, they've not had a good season, Ferrari, compared to previous seasons. You have to say the 2 teammates have worked well together. It's not as if there hasn't been team chemistry.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know, like, off track, they get on very well. Obviously, Brad joined in season 3, was actually my teammate in season 3 when we won the Constructors' Championship for Red Bull. And yeah, obviously, Drelix, Brad has been racing in every single season since season 3, and yeah, I think Apex obviously been in the league and appreciates that loyalty, and their teammates for the 2nd season running now in that Ferrari, and yeah, good team chemistry, as you said, between the 2 of them.
Yes, GC gets a time penalty just ahead of them in P11, gets another one immediately. So 2 in 2 corners is not the best ratio to have.
That's not wing damage. Well, the tyres have gone either way because it's just span. He's just span, and that's that then. For VRCGC, I think he's kind of given up on that one. Actually, that was the exact same corner Amaze lost in F2 yesterday that cost him the sprint race win and collected Fresda at the same time. And yeah, those tyres are overcooked slightly, I have to imagine. So yeah, VRCGC's race for any good points for Haas at the home Grand Prix looks to be all but gone. Right now, hoping for some sort of safety car, and a full course safety car at that, because of Virtual and getting back into this one.
Yeah, it is a shame, really. You know, of course, a Grand Prix that Haas had their only really moment to celebrate in the LCR history, where of course they won last season with Jam Pancakes, in the only team on the entire LCR grid, if you will, to never have a Grand Prix victory, and they claimed it finally last round with the man that is called Jam Pancakes. It still feels weird to say that name, but he done it for them, and now this season it's not been a good day. He's down in 14th. Of course, we have lost 2 cars in the opening 9 laps. We lost Jolly after a disconnect, and ultimately a bin in the wall that it didn't look like it was an accident. And then of course we lost KJ in the first laps after his mountainous climb up through the field in the first couple of laps, past almost half the field in 2 laps, and ultimately a move that was a bit too desperate that led to contact and ultimately led to the end of his day. And GC is now the 3rd DNF of the day as he retires into the pits, and I imagine that shouldn't bring out a safety car.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't. Obviously he hasn't retired on track or anything like that, and obviously he's done it in the pits, so that shouldn't bring out a safety car, and it looks like it hasn't, because it would have come out by now, I reckon, if it was going to cause a safety car, and indeed it doesn't, as we get back to green flag in that section of the track. One thing I've noticed, LK is with the DRS of Amaze OT. Okay, obviously going to be looking to get that 6th position of Amaze, and Amaze, obviously Tibor all the way up in 2nd, Drelex down in 9th, so it's a very good day for Tibor actually in that Alfa Romeo for that 2nd place. But Amaze really needs to try and keep the position from LK to maximise his chances of getting that P2 in the standings.
An incredible stint done by Sims there. 19 laps still on them set of medium tyres. Must be thinking about coming in any time soon. When he does come right down the field as Syrah, it's time play. That does actually only mean, though, that he's equal play with Tibor, but a sign that our newly crowned world champion, as he has actually proved before, he's not all perfect, nor is the man that's in third place in the championship, because Amaze has got a penalty.
Yeah, Amaze picks up what I think is his first penalty of the race, and now maybe good or bad things coming up to Sims, which could be a bit of a banana skin before it's battle for 6th place, what will become the battle for 5th place. Once Sims either wants to pass Sims or Sims peels off into the pit lane, but Amaze will get a bit of help with the DRS down the straight. Might be able to even put a car in between himself and LK to fend off that McLaren for a little bit longer. To the left hand side goes Amaze, and that'll be job done for the Mercedes. Up into 5th place goes the Scotsman, and he's got a lot of clean air to proceed, and pretty much he'll be looking to fend off that McLaren of LK for the remainder of this race. As LK will go for a move down to this left-hander, indeed does, up the inside, has chopped off the McLaren, so the one car in between the Mercedes and the McLaren did last long, because LK was not having any of it for that amount of time. And yeah, there you go, 5th and 6th for Amaze and LK, and that battle will resume, I'm sure, very shortly.
Interesting, all Team LCR battle, that one there, so I'm sure there's a bit of mutual respect shown between the three drivers, I hope.
You'd hope so.
Yeah, you'd like to think so, wouldn't you? Given the fact that the clue's in my name as well as to what team that I'm involved with. But yeah, going through towards turn 1, Amaze, of course, going to score 10 points as it stands. That would put him ahead of his teammate by 9 because there was 1 point separating them. In fact, he might get 8 because that was very deep through the S's, but LK not going to take advantage. He's actually lagging quite a lot, is the Frenchman at the moment, according to my screen. But he'll go 9 points clear of Dralex. In terms of Tibble, he's 14 points behind heading into this round. He will score 18, so which means, as it stands, Amazed will be just 6 points ahead of him. And Dralex will drop to 4th. There'll be 3 points between those two. So
there goes LK.
Between 2nd down to 4th at the moment, but it might be less than that because LK flies past Amazed and he's in the P5. And I have to admit, McLaren last season were a lot more of a lethal team, and Melanie doing really well. LK was performing highly as well, but this season they've not exactly set the world light as they did. But this man's been very consistent as the Frenchman. He currently sits 6th in the standings, 28 points off of Felipe ahead, but building that gap behind because Jolly's out, KJ's out, so credit where credit's due. Consistent, which is the way I would describe LK if he wasn't going deep at turn 19 and coming together with Amazed on the way towards turn 20.
Well, there you go, then mistake from LK, got the position, but made a mistake through the penultimate corner, and Amaze, well, that's a free invitation for the Mercedes. He goes back up to 5th position, and LK, the position he just gained, he'll have to do it all over again, and he's got 6 or 7 laps to do it all over again.
Indeed he has, and time is running out, as you said. There's not long left to go in this Grand Prix, and I have to admit, given the fact that it's not exactly been the most exciting affair, of course, as I did actually get a chance to have a little bit of a look, sneak preview, I haven't actually full look yet, at the LCR 2 race yesterday, of course at Kota, which I'm heard was a barnstormer, and so far from what I've seen, definitely have to back that case up.
Yeah, the sprint race was chaotic, to say the least. In the F2 race, I'll definitely give that a watch if you haven't already after this. But yeah, also got this race to deal with. Gap in the front, 3.6 seconds. Syrah just ever since that pit stop just been slowly eking that gap out 10th by 10th. And oh hello, we actually got LK and Amaze. What's happened to Amaze then?
I don't know. Was that a screen freeze?
I have no clue. Must have maybe lost it through turn 13. Maybe got on the curb under braking. Something happened to the Mercedes, but well, there you go. I had a funny feeling LK would potentially have a go again at Maze, but I didn't think it'd be that easy. I didn't think it'd be out of DRS that quickly. But there you go. LK does get that move done, and hopefully he can actually keep it on track for the remainder of the race and keep that 5th position for his sake.
Yeah, so now we got towards Syrah, who still leads the field with about 5 and a bit laps left to go of the American Grand Prix. And potentially going to add, I'll say potentially because it's not been all done and dusted just yet. Grab his 12th win of this season, and of course his career as well. And currently, by the way, has a 72.73% record of races to wins. He's raced in 15 races.
Gosh, I mean, I've got the spreadsheet at the moment. It's just like it's a line of 1 goal from Baku to Belgium. It's just ridiculous what he's been doing this season. And then obviously you have the 2 DNS from Australia and Monaco, and the other non-win he had was in Italy, which was the 2nd place. He looks like he's only adding another win to the tally.
Now I remember a very long time ago, I commentated on ILR1 China, and of course, as many people probably can guess by my accent, by the way I speak, I come from the European part of the community, and I didn't really know who this man was until I watched and commentated on that very Chinese Grand Prix, where he absolutely outclassed the field, the likes of Tyrrell Limitless, the likes of Veloce Surprise, the like of OMG It's Joe, for 28 laps in intermediate conditions.
Yeah.
That was the moment that I thought, okay, this guy's something to get serious about. And when I heard that he was joining LCR, I just thought, wow. Till you went to PC, I thought, what a fight we could have here. And what a fight Season 9 could be if you do decide to come back.
I'm hoping. It's not in my hands, but I really do hope that I can get my wheel work on Xbox and return, because not just for the battle with Syrah, but I've missed this league in general. I've missed racing in this Xbox tier, and obviously the battle with Syrah would. I just relish it. I'd love that battle to happen between myself and Syrah. I managed to I battled him in WR Season 7, and he was so incredibly tough to beat. Even on a good day, it was margins for me. He is ridiculously good at this game. And I mean, the first memory I have of Syrah is him, I think it was the season before at China. He won the very exact race in ILR, Season 5 I think it was. He won the Chinese Grand Prix in dry conditions. He just broke through the DRS on the medium tyre stint and just checked out whilst myself, Joe and JD were doing battle for 2nd place. And Syrah is, especially on the pad, what I can do, I've said it before, it's not human what he does on the pad. It just isn't.
Yeah, so Brazilian's still got just about 3 and a bit laps left to go of the American Grand Prix. As meanwhile, further down, Sims, by the way, he's still on that set of mediums that he started on.
He hasn't stopped.
24 laps. No, he hasn't. Is he hoping for rain?
I don't know what he's been hoping for, to be quite honest. Is he hoping for a safety car? Can I just say, if he does get a safety car, what a call it would be, but what a gamble, should I say. It's not really a call, it's just a gamble that has paid off. But if he does get it, fair play. But I somewhat doubt, with only a few laps to go, I somewhat doubt that's going to happen.
I mean, of course, last round at Japan we had a penultimate lap safety car, didn't we, in those monsoon conditions as we described it. And that did help a few people get a few places up the grid. For others, it probably actually routed them to the spot of ultimately claiming littler points than they probably deserved in a Grand Prix. But here, it doesn't look like we're going to have any last lap heroics for the lead either, as Syrah still continues to pull that gap out now to 5.2. And you do wonder, is Timo just backing off just a bit just to make sure he brings that car home and scores what, in my opinion, is probably good weekend's work. 18 points today, a pole position as well, his 2nd of the LCR career. It's not been a bad day.
Not been a bad day, but considering he did get pole position, I'm sure he was hoping to try and pick up that race win. But doesn't look like he's been able to. Unfortunately, Syrah just too much race pace for the for the Alfa Romeo by the Renault. Too much race pace from Syrah, and as we said, 2.5 laps to go, 5-second gap. Looks on course for yet another LCR win.
Yeah, put it in the history books that another COTA Grand Prix will be done and dusted for another season. An 18-round season that's seen the back-to-back seasons of the American Grand Prix. By the way, if the Grand Prix does actually go on next season, in season 9, we'll actually have the first ever time that America's been held 3 times in a row in the calendar, because of course it's sporadic appearances. Season 3 and Season 4 of course had a back-to-back appearance, and Season 7 as John's lost it again coming out of turn 9, and he's just been passed by a man that has had a very quiet race after no front wing at lap 1. Look at our clone troop, now under 2 seconds behind Apex and Brad, who Apex is actually now in the points. He's got a single point on his name. And imagine if Clone Troop got a point out of this. I would have to say that is quite an impressive comeback drive.
And not just a comeback drive, but just for sticking at it. It's a brilliant effort from the Williams of WR Clone Troop. And if he can get it and he's closing up, I'll quickly check the penalty situation whilst you focus on any battles you wish. I know Apex has got a penalty.
Sim.
Finally.
26 laps he's done on their mediums, and he's now come in for a set of softs and probably just set the fastest lap.
We'll see where he comes out compared to the 2 Ferraris and Clone Troop and whatnot. He's going to be jumped by them, so it'll be an interesting little scrap for the last remaining points.
I must admit, I would quite like to see Brad actually score a point at his home race. I think that would be quite nice for him, and definitely a season that, unfortunately Brad, I hate to be the one that has to say this, but ultimately has fallen down the order as the roster has grown in the past few seasons, but has always been here every single week without fail, tries to show up, does his thing, and has a good little battle towards the rear end of the field. So do both Ferraris, and to get a double point score finish here would probably be quite a little booster towards the end of the season.
Well, at the moment, he's going to get it, just provided he doesn't lose positions to both Clone Troop and Sims, as we are actually now on the final lap. Speaking of that, Clone Troop up the inside of the Ferrari, down into turn 12, and now he's going to be vulnerable to the Red Bull of Sims, but with Apex's penalty, well, let's see what else, but I think he's going to get swamped by the... Oh, gosh, that was tight between the two. Yeah, I think Sims on those much grippier soft tires is going to try to hang it all the way around the outside up Hayden Hill. Here we go, then Sims right around the outside. That's just a grip. That's just a grip. That is
that's what you need, though. And crucially, none of these 3 have a penalty. Apex does. So whoever wins this fight is finishing 9th. Whoever comes second is finished 10th. But here comes Sims to potentially now take 10th away from Clone Troop and put him provisionally outside the points, and he does through towards turn 1. So in the end he's going to have to hold on to that one, but we're going to have to go on board with Syrah, who's almost at the end of the Grand Prix. Goes to show how far behind that battle was, squabbling away. It once again has been another dominant display, as I say pretty much every single week, from lap 1 to lap 28. It wasn't pole position, it wasn't the near perfect weekend, but by God, after the start he was the favourite. BRL Syrah wins in America and makes it win number 12 on the season. ERL Tibor will come home a solid 18 points as he spins it over the line, and goes to show that he's still probably quite satisfied with a strong 18 points and also one big step closer towards P2 in the championship. Felipe comes home in P3 with Kishito's penalties holding into P4 wasn't enough to make it the Toro Rosso's day, but the second podium of the season, Felipe, and a strong double finish on the podium as Renault continue to push for the constructors